Welcome. First of all, apologize for this stream should have been on a few hours ago, but I first noticed that I had no internet, then everything went black. A power outage. Apparently there was a local power outage, and the reason my internet went first and my power later is because I have my generator kicked in. So I had a few minutes until that one ran out of fuel. Well, we have just been at MLS Law Show with attorney David Helm. Most of you, I guess. So welcome you all for joining me here. Today we are we will be watching the convicted Waukesha Parade mass murderer, woman beater, apparently also convicted sex offender Darrell Brooks, who tried to do what do you call it? Sovereign citizen. That was a new experience for me, watching that unfold. I have not seen this. What we are watching, this is from a hearing that took place on Thursday, and the cut out part is the restitution part. Hello, Wim. Good to see you. And no, you probably won't need mods. This is a great chat. Yeah, I agree. I have a great chat. Katie O'Toole, glad you are covering this. You're very welcome. Well, Law and C word, of course, will be the stream or the video I will be watching. But I'm not a big fan of their chat and how they cover it with their own commentators. So I'm glad a few of us in the LawTube segment is doing this. Oh, look at that. Congrats on monetization. Hey from Calgary, Alberta. Ladies and gentlemen, my first super chat. Yes, a few days ago, I was monetized, which allowed me to receive super chats, memberships, and stuff like that. Oh, MLS Law Show. Hello, David. Thank you so much. Do they not have sovereign citizens in Sweden? No, we don't have that kind of system where anyone really can interpret being outside of the society. We do have a few libertarians that go on with taxes or theft. I can live without civilization, wherever I believe. Hoppe libertarians. And yeah, they are an interesting bunch of people, but not to the extent of sovereign citizens. Thank you so much, David. Wendy, yay, Nicholas is monetized now. Yes, I am. Whee! This will be a new experience for me, but I really hope that you help me with this. Now, some ground rules. If you don't have the money for it, do not super chat me. And if you have the choice, you can go to Zachariah Anderson's fundraiser, and I will read from that. I think I have it somewhere. Well, I will put that link so they can have their proper defense. And $2 from Diamonds and Handa. Congratulations on getting monetized. Thank you so much. 14 weeks it took from my first steps as a content creator to log out here, and a huge thank you to everybody who gave me a shout out in the LawTube segment, like Rob, Ian, Legal Bites, Legal Vices, DUI guy, Larry, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. And I will do a proper celebration stream, but this is a full work week, so I don't have the time to go on for 5, 6, 7 hours. Rainman, thank you. Yeah. Kim Farnham, yay, congratulations. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm late, Lane catch up. Congrats on monetization. Well, we've been on for 6 minutes, so you don't have much to catch up to. Now, Gigi, we spoke about this on the previous on David's stream about my coffee that is the cheapest around, but somehow made amazing coffee at one specific best before date batch for some odd reason. And this is not, they don't pay me for this. And this coffee brand is a touch and go as well. You really need to find the actual best before date for the best. I've tried several, but this one. But the brand is Bellarom Gold Crema. And the best before date is there, November 5th, 2023. There I am again. And for some odd reason, this is $6 for 2 pounds of coffee beans. Amazingly cheap, and it tastes like a $20 a pound coffee. Yeah, so I bought 15 pounds of this. Jeff, with 50,000 Korean money, whatever that is. I have no idea what that is, but it's a pink one, so it's a bit. Thank you. Thank you for having me on your streams. On that first live stream, that F-It Friday, and I think I got close to 300 new subscribers just by appearing on your show. So thank you so much, Jeff. I owe you a lot. Don't take too much advantage of me. First of all, I'm bigger than you. Chris Mullen, $2. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And here, Wendy, $20. Congratulations on your monetization, Nicholas. Love your channel so much. Thank you so much. American Dreamer, I'm giving you Vice's money. Well, ooh, yeah. I was going to say you better drink up because it expires in a few weeks. Forgot you do the day first and then the month. Yeah. So it's November 5th on that coffee. Now I do have another. This is date night coffee. Also, they don't pay me anything for showing you this, but I'm open for it. And that is, let's see it. Catch it. Well, it's dark roast Royal Mirage with 100% Arabica beans. Holy, yeah. That's date night coffee for me and my ER nurse girlfriend. Yeah. Now, yeah, not so much, and it's not much. I think you're referring to the coffee. Yeah, that's an amazing price. It's 2 pounds for $6. I mean, I go through 2 pounds a week. of coffee beans. So that's quite good for me. Now, something else that showed up in my in the last stream is I designed a mug, and it looks, well, sometimes I say things that kind of catches on, and one of them is the hi. This is not it. This is from Aussie Overlords stream, where I managed to say this. So I made a mug. So further down the line, if I see that there is a demand for merch, well, yeah. And it's Boomer didn't get my joke. Oh well. Did I have a Boomer moment? Okay. So you with this guy, you will have Boomer moments. You will have Boomer moments. That I will mute myself, stuff like that. I might not be able to wait for the full 2 hours before I say curse words. But I try to teach myself to say, instead of, I say 2 hour word, but you know what I mean. Or something of that effect. Now let's see here. Now I have to. Oh, damn. Well, we are 12 minutes in. Let's try to. And by the way, this banner, it's thicker than it should be because, well, Law and C-word, when they put up this video, of course, they spoiled it in their header. So that's why this is a bit wider than it should be. But it's blue and yellow, the Swedish colors. Now let's see here. There. Share screen. Ta-da! Whoops. There. And I put myself there. So let's see here. Are you all ready for this? I'm giving you Vice's money, it's not much. My advice: get a cute doggy. Doggy, I like you. Okay. I have an a-hole cat that uses my legs for a scratch pole, and yeah, he is outside now. Hopefully, he's catching rodents around the farm. Some people, yeah, oops. Julia Bartlam, I'm having to start supper. I just fed these people yesterday. They act like they are starving to death. Lol. We'll be back and forth. Okay, boom. Yeah, people, food every day. Now, I probably won't starve even if I stop eat for a few days. But yeah, that's just it. Kitty love. Yeah, my cat is amazing, and but he's not a social cat at all. I try to cuddle him, and he's off. Oh, Young Min Shelley, cat camp fun. I don't know how to get him to stay in one place long enough for a cam to catch him. He sleeps outside, and then if I don't wake up early enough to give him food, he tried to suffocate me by laying across my face. Okay, but are we ready for this? Let's see if we have sound.
Frankly, it was due to the court's calendar. Originally, I had been scheduled to be in a 5-week trial starting February 13th. And then that was delayed by 2 weeks, and ultimately that trial was adjourned. And so that was the reason for.
Look at this face. Defeated. Yeah. Aw, you poor thing. Hope you have a wonderful time in prison, you piece of.
For the hearing being scheduled on today's date. So for now, I don't anticipate your client having to talk. I can just hear background. So I'm just going to mute it. And if we need to talk to him, we'll unmute. There'll be a 30-second delay unless he has the.
She's all out of F's to give about
unmute. But in any event, I think I've accurately stated kind of the timing of the requests. As I understand, the additional paperwork that was filed as recently as April 12th, and I trust you've seen that, Attorney Covey?
Judge, yes, I did see. I
have no
think
idea.
you're talking about document 566.
Yes.
I have that right in my hand.
I haven't seen
All
this,
right.
so I
And
have
so
no idea
does the
if
state
it's
have a
going to
grand
get
total
all
for
sovereign
additional
citizens.
restitution the state is seeking.
So to be clear, Your Honor, on the document, that's one that's titled, well, the first thing is crime victim compensation. Okay, thank you.
Yes, I just couldn't tell if that, I didn't do the math, if that's.
Yes, I wanted to be clear on that. So at the bottom it notes you've already ordered sum of 124,220.65 to crime victim compensation.
Yes.
The grand total that's listed at the top of 134,466.85.
We will watch this and then we will go to if there are other super chats.
So this is not
but
in
I have the
addition
time,
to. Okay.
so
So our
I know
request
where
for crime victim compensation is
when it was.
134,466.85. For Wilbur and Associates or Hartford Insurance, total request is $108,164.61. Optum subrogation, $118,805.62. Progressive Insurance, $10,000 for victim GGG, and Progressive Insurance, $104,662.64 for victim Q.
All right, and I believe your letter of November 29 indicates the additional amounts that you're seeking. And then this document really totals things up.
Yes, it does. And at the bottom, already ordered the EMC insurance for Waukesha School District. That was already ordered and there's no update to that number. So that number can remain as fixed.
Okay, what they are talking about is how much money he should pay to the victims. And so that is what the prosecution is up to now, just having the numbers ready for them. I haven't seen, Gigi, you haven't seen the Brooks trial. Ooh, you are in for a treat. But there are, I do think there's another trial coming up, but I don't know exactly when. Let's continue.
I'm just going to do a quick calculation to determine the additional amount to crime victim compensation the state is seeking. Looks like that's $10,246.20.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that number?
Assuming I hit the keys on my calculator correctly, it's the difference between the 134 plus minus the 124, and that's $10,246.20.
Yes, we agree with that.
All right, and then the additional other amounts to other individuals, namely insurance companies, are really those four amounts that are listed in the, near the bottom of this document to Hartford Insurance, the Optum, and Progressive for two different victims.
Yes, correct.
All right, is that your understanding of what was being requested, Attorney Covey?
Judge, it clarifies things. I had thought that the state was asking for an additional, the full 134,466.85 in addition to the 124. So my number, original number, I thought was just north of 476,000, but it seems like it's closer to about 350,000, give or take. I'm using round numbers because I don't have a calculator with me.
Understood. It's my understanding from the document that you filed on behalf of Mr. Brooks that Mr. Brooks is not contesting the loss that was suffered, but rather his ability to pay.
Judge, that is correct. I'm not asking for, at least for anything to date, anybody to present extra documentation as to the accuracy of these numbers. It's just on his earning ability and lack of funds.
And was that the state's understanding as well?
Yes.
We know in the filing from Attorney Covey, I don't recall if it was the letter or the actual motion to deny, there's a claim that Mr. Brooks is indigent based upon his incarceration. Is the state going to take any issue with that?
We're agreeing to that fact, Your Honor. We've reached a stipulation with Attorney Covey that recognizes Mr. Brooks, to our knowledge, is indigent at this time and that his future earning capacity would be limited to prison wages.
Yeah, they probably have, if he had anything, if he owned anything, they probably have sold it off by now in order to get to, well, to get money for the victims. And his prison wages will probably be tarnished. So, well, he has plenty of time to pay back. What might be the way for the victims to get paid sooner is that the insurance companies pay out, then they will go after Mr. Brooks. But I'm not so sure how this works in this county. But maybe they will tell us about it. Let's continue.
And that's an agreeable stipulation to the defense?
Judge, we reached that agreement yesterday. Absolutely, I suggested it.
I don't want to be presumptuous, but I know the last time the court addressed restitution, the state was requesting really an order related to.
Okay, let's see here. Oh. When they haven't seen it either. Well, I don't think I will spoil, but this is the guy who drove through a parade, killing multiple people. And at the trial, he represented himself as a sovereign citizen. And it was it was a cluster F. It really was. Let's continue.
An escrow account, should there be future payouts or earnings by Mr. Brooks, will you be making the same request?
Yes, and I noted that is in the original judgment of conviction that was filed by the court on November 17th of 2022. You had made that order and that finding at the time of sentencing, and you had also indicated restitution costs and surcharges and fees to be collected from prison monies pursuant to statutory authority. And so we're going to ask both of those orders remain in place.
Will your client have any objection?
Yeah, I actually didn't see the sentencing. So I have no idea how long he will be away for, but my guess he will never get out. He just will never see the outside of a prison wall. that. Now, as a principle, I'm against capital punishment, but sometimes my objections are not as fierce against someone receiving it. Sometimes I will knock down a wall to protest, and sometimes I will knock on a window with a wet sponge to protest. This is a wet sponge case. Let's continue.
Into that.
If there's additional restitution, I don't object to the escrow account.
That would be for monies paid to Mr. Brooks, not a restitution, not a escrow account beyond that. Under 949-165.
I'm sorry, Counselor, if I may, just for 1 second. Oh, yeah. Okay, thanks. Judge, Counsel explained to me briefly what she was getting at. I don't have any objection to that.
All right. Then seems to me there's really just some legal arguments as to whether I should order the additional restitution.
Yes, Judge.
The stipulation then.
Did she just say additional restitution?
Seems to me there's really just some legal arguments as to whether I should order the additional restitution.
Yes, Judge.
The stipulation then would put us in a position where Mr. Brooks does not need to testify. That's my understanding, and that would be how I would proceed. Anyone see that any differently, Attorney Opera?
We do not.
Judge, that was the reason why I suggested the stipulation.
Nanya Bitness. Yeah, somehow the link doesn't work. But I have had this issue for a bit, and I'm talking to YouTube's about it. So like and subscribe stuff, you know, the YouTube things, and hit that bell button. But that also is not a guarantee, because I got an email the other day that most of my notifications don't get sent out. So yeah. Fun times.
All right, thank you. Then, since it is the state's request for additional restitution, I'll hear from the state.
Thank you, Judge. Your Honor, we are asking this court to order restitution in the full amount as proposed in the document we filed yesterday. I think you said it was 566.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I just don't know the document number.
He's
Yes,
muted.
it is document number 566.
So you have to.
Judge, we
Ask
certainly
for permission.
understand ability to pay as one of the factors that the court is to consider here, but we'd like to highlight a couple of things. First of all, one of the goals of restitution is to rehabilitate the defendant. We think that is an important goal in this case, noting the damage that was inflicted by this defendant to multiple victims. We would note that most of the monies, or at least a majority of the monies, came from the Crime Victim Compensation Fund, which really is funded by taxpayers. It's a state fund, and that I'm glad to see on this list there's no individual victims that are still looking to be made whole, that it was either covered by Crime Victim Compensation or insurance companies. So I think it's important that we recognize that, and the desire for the public to have those monies repaid to the CVC if appropriate.
Yeah, okay. As I said earlier, it seems like the victims have been made whole, at least money-wise. And now it is Mr. Brooks who will repay the insurance companies and stuff like that. Rain Man, is it still stalking if I'm monitoring your channel because of the notification issues. Well, don't leave your phone off. So I won't be either accused of being dead or unaliving you.
As far as the insurance companies, the same, Your Honor. While I understand they operate as a for-profit business, these were substantial expenses that they had to cover for their insured, for their clients, and a direct result of the defendant's conduct and the significant injuries that several of these victims suffered as a result of Mr. Brooks' behavior. So we do believe that it's both fair and appropriate for the court to order the whole amount, notwithstanding that limitation. The reality is that perhaps this will never be achieved by Mr. Brooks in his lifetime on prison wages, but it would serve a rehabilitative purpose, because should he ever receive employment within the prison system and a wage, albeit minimum, it would be a reminder to him and aid in his rehabilitation, that for whatever monies he earns in the prison, a portion of it does go back to the crime victim.
Oh, you little piece of garbage. Just shaking his head, smiling at him being rehabilitated or getting a job within the prison. No, probably not. He is that selfish, narcissist piece of human garbage who will probably do anything to avoid responsibility still. Yeah, that's the system. I don't know the US system and the wages system at all, so I don't know.
Money he earns in the prison, a portion of it does go back to the crime victim compensation fund. And the other thing is, Your Honor, of course, we don't know if an escrow account would ever be needed under 949.165, but I think we can make a reasonable observation here that there is potential for Mr. Brooks to obtain money in the form of payment to sell his story, to engage in a book deal or a movie offer or whatever it is. We know that this case garnered international attention. It's not beyond the realm of possibility. That's.
Oh, thank you, but I'm not international attention. But maybe she didn't mean me. I'm sure she meant me.
Someone may at some point offer him some funds or some sum of money to share his perspective on this case. And so I would hate for this court to, set $100,000 today and then tomorrow he gets a $500,000 book deal. That would be offensive, I think, and go beyond the scope and the purpose of restitution. So for that reason, Your Honor, even noting his current limited ability to pay, we feel it's appropriate that you order the full amount as requested. Thank you.
Before I turn to the defense, I don't want to make any assumptions, but it's my recollection, probably during the sentencing, maybe even during some of the witnesses, or even during maybe discussion related to jury selection. Obviously, the community had set up a fund for victims to seek reimbursement. It's my understanding that this restitution amount that's being requested would be larger. I don't know if it would be substantially larger if all losses were being requested by the state.
That's an accurate statement, Your Honor, and I think it's very fair to say it would have been substantially larger if it not had been for the generosity of individuals who contributed to those funds.
Now we're going into an interesting part, because he got made during trial and sentencing to pay less than he should have, since the community itself got together to get some funding to the victim and the victim's family. So we will see how the court or this judge will do about that.
I recall, were there millions in that fund at one point?
I believe that's accurate. Yes, I've confirmed that.
All right. And then I'd also heard, but I don't know if there's any truth to this, but that at one point, Mr. Brooks himself may have demanded payment to talk to a news organization or some media outlet. Again, I don't want to make assumptions, but I had heard that at one point.
Attorney Wichow and I are, I've heard that as well, but I can't confirm that with any certainty, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Then turning to you, Attorney Colby.
Thank you, Judge. Although I'm relatively new to the case, I can state just from my review of the file so far, I haven't heard anything at all about anybody offering any kind of book deal or any kind of sums of money in any way, shape, or form to Mr. Brooks. I think it's the odds of Hollywood knocking down his door to give him lots of money for his life story. I think, given the totality of the circumstances of this case, I just think are so minuscule that I don't think that argument should be given much weight. I also couldn't imagine any of the media, whether it's a YouTube blogger or the people that are next door to this courtroom, offering Mr. Brooks any money for some kind of exclusive interview. I cannot foresee the future with 1,000% certainty, but I think the odds of that, again, are just exceptionally low. I appreciate the fact, Judge, that the state's stipulating that he's indigent. I think counsel mentioned.
Now, this is the lawyer doing his job. His job here is to prevent his client to pay more. So no shade on this lawyer. He's just doing his job. Any lawyer in that situation would do the same argument. So remember that. Venmo in Sweden, let's screw YouTube. Let me get acquainted to this system first, because of, I believe, tax reasons. If I have multiple sources of income from this, it might stop being in Sweden. If you have a hobby, hold on. If you have what you call a hobby that generates some money, I can earn up to, I believe, equivalent to $4,000 a year without paying tax, unless it's from multiple sources. Then I might be, it might be taxes on it as well. So let me get used to the YouTube stuff, and then we can talk in a few months or so. Okay, but thank you for the suggestion. Let's get back to this.
Minimum, and I just want to make sure that the court recognizes that we're not talking minimum wage as a legal $17, $18, $19 an hour for prison work. If he's offered work in any of the facilities that he's going to be serving time in, at best he'll be getting perhaps a few dimes an hour for janitorial work or cleaning up the kitchen. The type of wages that are earned by inmates in our correctional system, they're not used to save up lots of money. They're used to sometimes save up to buy a bag of Doritos or some deodorant or toiletries. That's essentially his earning capacity. If they let him work, perhaps $1 or $2 a day if he works the entire day. So that's the reality.
$1 or $2 a day. It would be, if he works every day of the week, that's $365 a year. For 10 years, that is $3,650. If he earns $2 a day, that's $7,000. If he does it for 20 years, you're to 14 grand. Well, I don't really care how little money he has for a bag of Doritos. The victims are the priority here. Let's continue.
Of what he's facing. And Judge, counsel touched on this, and I appreciate her argument. Frankly,
No
whether
worries,
you
Steve.
order
Thank you for being here.
50,000 or 500,000 or 5 million, it's very unlikely that Mr. Brooks would be able to pay even the smallest fraction of that. But this hearing still matters. This is not just a moot point or a moot exercise, because you do have the duty, Judge, to balance 5 sometimes competing factors as listed in Wisconsin Statute 973.2013. I mentioned it in my motion. And then, of course, the 5th factor was, I sent a letter to the court about that yesterday. The 5 factors are the amount of loss suffered by any victim as a result of the crime considered at sentencing. 2, financial resources of the defendant. 3, the present and future earning ability of the defendant. 4, the needs and earning ability of the defendant's dependents. And 5, any other factor which the court deems appropriate. Judge, I'll go just a little bit out of order. On subsection 4 regarding Mr. Brooks' dependents, recognizing that he's currently serving multiple life sentences consecutive, realistically, he's not going to be able to.
Boomer moment. Go into my videos about chat control, and because that is the European EU Commission's suggestion on well, surveil all our chats, video conferences, everything, and it actually affects the United States as well. What does boomer mean? Baby boomers, post-war baby boomers. Now, I'm not that old, but compared to many of you, I'm not a youngster. Let's continue.
Support his dependents anyways. And so that factor isn't really on point for this hearing. On the first criteria, the amount of loss suffered from the victims, I'm not surprised that the totality could be in the millions of dollars. I'm sure it's an absolutely enormous amount. And you have that discretion to give that factor great weight. I concede that.
Yeah,
but I also hope that you consider the next 2 factors as well, and they kind of go together. His earning ability and his current financial resources. I hope that gets great weight as well. She's had significant financial problems even before this case. I believe he qualified for a public defender from day one. If he were to testify, he would testify that he had no savings, no assets. He doesn't have any kind of inheritance coming down his way. Nobody owes him any kind of money. I don't think anybody would dispute those facts. If you add on
that's an interesting argument that he has no assets whatsoever. Or maybe it's correct. Maybe he didn't own anything. Maybe everything was rented, borrowed, or stolen. We don't know. But the attorney is doing a very, very solid arguments, and which shows that Darrell Brooks might have. Well, I don't think the outcome would have mattered, but it would have mattered to the victims and the victims' families. That not being him questioning everybody, that was loathsome. Let's continue.
Another $500,000 or $350,000 to what he's already been ordered to pay, which is in excess of $171,000.
That might actually be ADHD glasses. I don't know. Those tinted glasses, but I don't know if he's have that.
Then you are sending a message that the two factors, his poverty, his earnings abilities, just don't matter. And I hope that they should be considered. Finally, Judge, subsection number 5 is the catch-all section, where you can consider any other factors which the court deems appropriate. I'm not sure if the amount of restitution in document 566 is the sum total of what might be requested in future restitution hearings. The law, there is case law that states that a request could be made well past the 90 days after the sentencing hearing. We could object to it, but a lot of courts have upheld those. And I believe, just for the sake of judicial efficiency, since he cannot pay anyways, since he really couldn't raise more than a couple of dollars a month anyways, is it worth the court system's resources, our time, the court's time, the community's time, to have potential extra restitution hearings when the ability for him to pay anything is going to be minimal or nil? And Judge, I guess one last thing. I would respectfully disagree that this is about rehabilitation, given the length of Mr. Brooks' sentence. I think this is just more additional punishment, adding extra zeros to the judgment of conviction for money that he owes. I recognize the gravity of the harm, and I mean no disrespect to anybody who suffered any injuries or the medical bills from this case. But given the totality of the circumstances, his multiple life sentences, I just don't think it makes sense to add on any additional restitution. It's just.
Well, if his channel generates money, then that might go to the victims. I don't know if that channel is monetized though. Maybe the victims can request the copyright for that song so they can collect. But no, maybe not. Let's continue.
More paperwork, potentially extra hearings for no really just purpose except to add extra numbers on the.
I will not play stuff.
I'm happy to answer any questions you might have, Judge, and thank you.
All right, thank you. First of all, I do want to thank the parties again for the stipulation. I think that certainly has made this hearing one that is running quite smoothly, but also kept victims from having to testify again regarding the loss that they suffered, and even frankly, the representatives from crime victim compensation or the insurance companies related to this. I also appreciate the stipulation from the state regarding the indigency. I think that's a testament to both counsel here and their willingness to, look at this objectively and what the purpose of this hearing and what the court needs to do. It is true that the court does need to consider the statutory criteria in 973.20. That's been referenced by Attorney Covey both orally here in court today and in his motion to deny restitution. There are 5 criteria, really, when you look at the statute: the amount of loss suffered by any victim as a result of a crime considered at sentencing, the financial resources of the defendant, the present and future earning ability of the defendant, the needs and earning ability of the defendant's dependents, and any other factors the court deems appropriate, really what we would call the catch-all. Obviously, this concerns a case where Mr. Brooks was convicted of dozens and dozens of crimes based upon conduct stemming from him driving an SUV through the Waukesha Christmas parade. There were 73 named victims, one of whom was the victim of the domestic abuse related convictions. And then, of course, the 6 individuals who perished as a result of his conduct and the 68 others who were injured. There are family members that are represented by each of those victims as well. This was and remains a very significant crime that has and will have lifelong effects for not just Mr. Brooks, not just these victims, but the community as a whole. And the losses that were suffered apart from the death and the injuries is only in part represented by the dollar figures that have been requested by the state on behalf of the victims. And that's what prompted one of the questions to Attorney Opper is that there was, and I think perhaps, I don't know if it still has any money left in it, but we know that there was a fund set up by community members, really funded, I'm sure, if you were to look carefully, probably internationally, with millions of dollars that helped defray costs and the loss to many of the victims. There was testimony, whether during the trial or probably more at the sentencing, of individuals who did not have insurance and suffered out-of-pocket losses. And thankfully, the community stepped up, crime victim compensation stepped up, but it would have been significantly more in terms of the dollar amounts that the state is seeking, but for that fund that had been created and used to help the victims of Mr. Brooks's crimes. And so I think that's an important consideration for this court to consider. In addition to the type of loss that was suffered here, I mentioned this earlier, there was death, great bodily harm, certainly emotional and physical trauma. Because this involved a parade and Mr. Brooks driving through it, there's also that sense of security and safety in our community that he robbed, not just the parade goers on that fateful day, but really the community, the state. I think anyone who's heard anything about this case would feel a real sense of security that was stolen by Mr. Brooks. I do think the state's argument on rehabilitation is a solid argument. The bottom line is Mr. Brooks completely minimized his conduct both during the trial and at sentencing. And it is important, if only symbolic, that while he is in prison for the rest of his life, that whatever meager sums he might make with a prison wage, that there be a reminder to him why there is this deduction from his monies, that his ability to go to the canteen or to buy some extra item that's not otherwise provided by the prison, that there be that reminder to him that he doesn't have even the full access to whatever money is on his account. Now, I'd remind everyone the law caps what that deduction will be at 25%. I think that's a very clear recognition by our legislature of the balance that the system needs to have.
The judge is making solid argument that Mr. Brooks needs to be reminded every time he's getting paid by the prison system, the prison wage. He needs to be reminded every time what he has done. Now, being in prison might be a reminder, but being incarcerated, you will get into a routine. And in that routine, to protect yourself psychologically, you remove things. But if that reminds him every month, every 2 weeks, whenever his wages are coming in, he will see that 25%. Hey, you little a-hole, we still know you. You still pay them. You will still pay the victims. Let's continue.
As it relates to prison monies. And I think that's an appropriate cap.
It will be used. It will be used.
I also think it's important that this court consider that the vast majority.
I should have swooshed before watching this, so thank you for the reminder.
I shouldn't say vast majority, but a significant amount of the restitution is to crime victim compensation, which is a state fund, largely, if not all, funded by taxpayers. And even if there were some grants that are there from federal resources, which I imagine there might be, that's still taxpayer funded. And so I think that's another consideration for this court to look at and consider. Now, I do have to balance. I'll look at all the criteria. Obviously, significant amount of loss. That's criteria reflected in sub 13 sub A. Sub 13 sub B, the financial resources of the defendant. Clearly, they are extremely limited at this time. However, there is absolutely no doubt in my mind that the possibility exists for Mr. Brooks at some point in the future to possibly profit from a book deal, a made-for-TV movie, a movie, whatever it may be. Maybe it's just doing an interview or whatever the case may be. I don't think that can be ruled out, even if he is obviously the person who was convicted of that, but there was international attention. This court had Court TV in to stream the trial. This court has always streamed every hearing as it relates to this case, in part because of the number of victims, and I could not, I don't have a courtroom big enough in this county to hold all parties involved. Certainly during the trial, this courtroom was packed on a daily basis. And to say that the trial went viral, I think would be an understatement. And so all of that relates to, though, that catch-all factor and the possibility that Mr. Brooks could come into a sum of money at a later point in time because of the story that he could provide or tell on his own behalf. You need only look at Netflix to know that crime stories are incredibly, they're things people want to watch. People find them interesting. People want to know the why. They want to know the how. And it's certainly not just this case, but we've seen it, and not that that's been on Netflix or anything, but other cases have captured the attention. So I don't think it's beyond the, it's not an impossibility, let's say. It's, I think, a very real possibility that someone might produce something someday for more of a commercial or theatrical type purpose, even if it's a true crime type situation. And that it's possible that Mr. Brooks could profit from that. And that certainly is why at the time of sentencing, the court addressed the request by the state to related to the escrow account. I think that's important to do that here. And so when I balance all of these things, when I consider the significant amount of the loss, the court's desire to hold Mr. Brooks accountable, and even if it's a small reminder with his prison monies, that does serve a very important rehabilitative role, because even though he's serving successive life sentences, we all hope that one day he truly is able to accept full responsibility for what he has done, not minimize his conduct, and so that this award of restitution in full, as the state has requested, is important. And
she is really laying it in on him, and he does not like it. So yeah, but she's making really good arguments with this. Yeah, he's cracking smiles at times that are yeah, which tells me at least that he's still in that old mindset that nothing is his fault. It's everybody else's fault. But it's a few minutes left of this. Let's continue to see the rest of it, and then let's
I will grant the additional amounts as I indicated earlier. It's $10,246.20 in to crime victim compensation. That total then to them for the judgment of conviction is $134,466.85. Then to Wilbur and Associates, which is Hartford Insurance, $108,000, $164.61. Optum Subrogation, $118,805.62. And then Progressive Insurance for victim GGG, $10,000, and Progressive Insurance for victim Q, $104,662.64. That is, of course, on top of what a court had already ordered to EMC Insurance of $47,193.29. So again, I'll grant the request of the state. We'll also include that it be payable out of any prison monies per state statute, and the court under 949.165 makes the additional amounts of restitution ordered today subject to the escrow account under that statute. Anything the state thinks I've overlooked as it relates to this?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Anything the defense thinks I've overlooked as it relates to this?
Judge, I think I'm good. I'll just let Mr. Brooks know that I'll set up a phone call with him soon. If you could just wave your hand so I know that you heard that, sir.
Oh, and I forgot to state this at the beginning of the hearing. Obviously, it made reference to the video conferencing. He's appearing through the Zoom platform through our technology. It's working. I can see him. You can see him. He's indicated twice now that he hears us. Clearly, the technology is working and it meets the minimum standards for video conferencing. And given that there was no testimony that was taken today, too, it was obviously very appropriate for him to appear that way. He has 20 days from today's date to appeal the decision of the court. I will, of course, make sure an amended judgment of conviction is done as quickly as possible, get that signed, and that will be uploaded to the e-filing system. All right, thank you, everyone. That does conclude our hearing today. Good luck.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay. That was the... Hi, Jackie. Hi, Jackie. It's almost as white. Like some... Yeah. Now, instead of... I saw a number here somewhere. Well, now I can't find it, of course. Well, it seems like Mr. Brooks is owing the state in restitution over $500,000, which is an increased amount with about $150,000 dollar restitution. So he will be, if he earns $2 a day, he works 5 days a week. That's 220 days a year. That's $4,400 in 10 years. In 100 years, that's 44 grand. I think I'm not a math person, so yeah, it will take him more or less his entire sentence of, or what was it, 800 years to repay. But he might not last that long. Let's go into this. This was fun. Have you found the plaintiff yet? Well, he's right there in prison, even though he didn't really acknowledge being him, you know, sov-cit. Then we have, I've not heard of ADHD glasses. Well, you were answered that later on. Emily Baker has them. And I think she has links to where you can get it. Then this from Kathy. I hope taxpayers didn't pay for ADHD glasses. I can't even afford them for my grandchildren. Now, that is very sad to hear. And this is why I'm a big advocate for universal health care over here in Sweden. Glasses for kids up to 18 are free, or a symbolic sum. So yeah, so ADHD kids who need ADHD glasses prescription can get those and then just collect them. They are called Illing glasses, and Emily Baker has linked to the Illing website linked on her channel. Yeah. And then we had this discussion on boomer. Yeah. Now, technically, I'm not a boomer, baby boomer. I wasn't born that. I'm not that old. Super text. Well, my first computer or console was a Pong. You connected it to your black and white TV. You had two wheels, and you steered two blocks, and there was a pixel going front and forward. And then I had a VIC-20, and then a C64, a Commodore 64, and so on. And back then, you had to program your computer to be able to get it to work. There were no Windows back then. No such thing. And then I saw, David says, let me get this right. He's going to a taxpayer-funded facility, which he will get free room and board paid by taxpayers and earn a wage paid by taxpayers. I'm not sure. Some of these prisons are privately owned, and he will be, some of them have work-related stuff that actually makes the prison money. But I'm not sure if he is on one of those. But I understand your argument. And then we had this. Thank you again for your super chat. Do they not have sovereignty in Sweden? No, not yet. But you never know. They might show up if they are watching the trials from the United States. Congrats on money. Thank you again, Rayman. Thank you so much. Thank you, Diamonds and Henna. Thank you, Kim. I'm very, very grateful. Legal Voices. Thank you so much. I owe you. Chris Mullen, congratulations. Thank you so much. Wendy. You have been in my channel for a while, so thank you. American Dreamer, I've seen you around. Thank you. Youngmin Shelley, Cat Camp Fund. Yeah, as I said, I don't think I can get my cat to sit still for long enough for one of those. And let's see here if we had a bit more in. Yeah, the garnish is 25%, so he will still be able to buy some thingies from time to time, but he will always get reminded, hey, pay these victims, you little 2-hour word. And Julia, have to head out. Thanks for the live, and congrats again. Thank you for showing up. And yeah, I really enjoy live streaming. For the first 2.5 months, I made more or less only videos, which I enjoyed, and I still do them, and I will continue to do them. But these live streams are fun because all of a sudden I can talk to my audience, and that's amazing. Why make me a glowy? I don't know what a glowy is. Oh, by the way, Matthew Self is the person who made that's the swoop, which I forgot to do directly after I ended the video. That is a Norwegian fire-farting dragon. That's my swoop. So he has a channel. Go subscribe to him. Go subscribe to David at MLS Law Show. He is 110, I think, subscribers away from monetization. Wendy, I'm an American who broke a leg in Italy. Not only was my healthcare free, the ambulance was too. Yeah. Trying to catch up with. Oh. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you so much. Now, you don't have to super chat me at all. You made my swoop, and I owe you. And yeah, about universal healthcare. For you who know, I tore my meniscus about 2 months ago. Yeah, more or less exactly 2 months ago. So when I tore my meniscus, I got into into the hospital, checked out, got happy pills. Then the knee protection, and then meetings with the physical therapist, which I've seen every 2 weeks for 2 months now. My total cost, including this, $130. That's universal healthcare. MLS Law Show. David Ham does a great job streaming trials. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. And he is now on the Stouch trial, which is, it's heart-wrenching. And yeah, that poor kid. Free Zachariah Anderson. Yeah, I will add links in the description. So you can go to Zachariah Anderson's to help fund his appeal. But yeah, I will add links in this description. Nothing like a politician telling you how safe you are in crime-infested cities. Yeah. Post-date Amanda, free Zachariah Anderson. Yeah, that. I have videos on the Zachariah Anderson trial. I have a mock defense closing. I have my initial thoughts on the conviction, and that's, yeah, I am appalled that it even went to trial. I'm getting more and more convinced that the prosecutor, that was the boss of the prosecutor that lost the Rittenhouse trial. And I believe that he needed a big trial and a big win, because if it's next year, he's up for re-election. So he saw this case and thought, I can win this. Didn't care about the truth, didn't care about the evidence. He thought, I can win this. And he made everything to win it. Shady crap, a prison snitch, 2 prison snitches, but the first one didn't say what he wanted him to say. The second one did. It should never have gone to trial. Fiery Red, have a great night, Nicholas. And chat, smash that like button like Amber Heard. Yeah. Do that, YouTubey things. I have nothing more for you at this time, but next week I will try to stream more, because I have a full week. I have tomorrow is a travel day. I have some factory inspections to do. I have a 4-hour train ride, so I can catch some sleep. But on Monday, I will try to have something up for you. If not, I will be hopefully joining David on his stream on the Stout trial. Yeah, I agree, Chris. It is, the United States has a great system with the presumption of innocent and innocent unless proven guilty in a court of law. I have a video about my thoughts about that. It's called Sunrise Thoughts, the first episode of that, which you're most welcome to go watch when you have the time. Or just put on my videos and listen to me in the background. And please, if you have criticism, go ahead, because without constructive criticism, I can't evolve as a streamer, YouTuber, whatever, without constructive criticism. Glowy equals feds. Oh, it's about that Matthew chat earlier. Thank you so much, Wendy. Thank you so much. Yeah, as I said, I don't want to prolong this just to get watch hours. I have every watch hour I need, and I'm monetized thanks to you guys who watch my content. And you need to post your hair care. If I do a celebration stream, I will do that. No, I will not wash my hair, but I will tell you about it. Well, have a nice weekend. Hug your kids. And yeah, have a nice weekend. And I'll talk to you later. Have fun, folks.